Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Glad to be here and have technology work just fine across several thousand miles. I'm in India at this time.
Oh, are you? Oh, wow, amazing.
How are you? I'm Puneet Mahendru. I know we have never met before. And thank you so much for doing this little interview for HCI. And I understand you are at GTU.
No, I was at Star King School for the Ministry, actually, which has been a part of the GTU, but I'm not sure if they're still a part of the GTU or not, but that's where I was, and at the Chaplaincy Institute as well.
Okay, wonderful. So let's just briefly, so I'm actually located in the San Francisco area. I just happen to be visiting India.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
And I am one of the resident faculties at HCI, and I teach their counseling and psychology courses.
Oh, wonderful. It's really exciting what you all are doing there. I love hearing about it.
Yes, we are excited about it too, and we are excited to have you here today with us. So I'm going to, because it's a recording and we'll share it with everyone. So I'm going to jump right into our conversations here, keeping the introduction fairly brief. So welcome again. And we'll be sharing this with all our Sangha members, all the HCI community and students. So I wanted you to briefly start with some of the work that you're doing, in the community.
Sure. So my background is in the arts and in teaching. And then I've brought those together doing specifically theater for social change and writing as well, but I work more publicly in theater. And then I branched from that into chaplaincy studies and multi-religious studies. And they all fit together really nicely. And they take me into all kinds of different containers for this work. So some of the theater for social change work that I do is more public facing, working with groups in like large settings, large institutions. And then I have smaller groups that I work with in like kind of spiritually aligned acting classes. And then I work one-on-one with individuals as well in like coaching, mentoring kinds of relationships. And then I have also wanted more directly to use my chaplaincy experience or my chaplaincy training. And I have done work as a hospice volunteer, which is some of the most rewarding work that I've ever gotten to do. So that's a little bit of an overview. I don't know if I'm happy to go into more detail wherever it makes sense.
Certainly. So Sarah, this hospice work, how long have you been involved with that?
So I started doing the hospice work in just January of this year. I had done a clinical internship as a part of my chaplaincy training. And that wasn't a hospice internship, but I've always been drawn to hospice, kind of not knowing why. And so I tend to follow those threads of of pull. If this is here and I don't know why, then there must be something bigger pulling me to that. And so hospice was one of those things.
I was going to ask you what got you interested in it and what sort of motivated you to get into hospice work, but I'm hearing you say that that's just more of a internal pull, sort of a soul path, so to speak.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It has felt like a soul path. I only had very limited even interpersonal experience in hospice settings. I went to visit one family member after they were deceased in a hospice facility for like 30 minutes once, and then a friend I had who was in hospice for a while, and I visited her, and it was just, I don't know, there's something so profound about the atmosphere that just stuck with me. I guess the other people I had met working in hospice just always seemed like some of the most interesting, grounded, like people who really had a sense of their priorities in order. And so I was like, oh, there's something to learn here. There's something really important happening. But the volunteer work that I did, that I've done with hospice has been in people's homes, so not even in a facility. And that is a really beautiful kind of intimacy, to be invited into someone's home and into their life at such an important chapter. So it's been incredibly rewarding. I highly recommend anyone who feels pulled to it to give it a try.
Yeah. And what about it feels so rewarding to you?
I think it's a moment where I get to really be fiercely present with people. Everything else is kind of falling away, and we're just getting into what feels like it matters here and now. And there's struggle, certainly, and it feels really rewarding to be led into someone's struggle in that way, and to sit with them and help them hold that for a moment, and to also get to be a mirror is a way I approach a lot of my work, especially one-on-one with folks, of just I think across the board, so many people just want to be seen. I think most of us just want to be seen. And as much as I can get myself out of the way and allow myself to be a mirror for someone else, so that I can see them as clearly as I can, and also help them see themselves as they are and as a sacred being, then that just feels, it feels really good. It's funny, as I was preparing for the call today, I was thinking about like, oh wow, like, I get so much out of this. Is it fair to call it service? Because it feels so fulfilling to me to be a part of it.
Yeah, sounds like, you feel that in that moment or those moments, you're able to connect with at the deepest level, and all the rest just falls away, and you're kind of really connecting with the soul.
Absolutely. And it can be very ordinary too, it might just be like helping somebody look for a place to get a haircut, or or sitting with them and talking about a book that they're reading, or listening to some music together. So it's not always, I think, so sometimes in that space, people do want to talk about, what does it mean to be human, or these are the major things in my life that have happened, but or this is how I'm wrestling with dying, but a lot of it is also just hanging out, and it puts it into such a beautiful perspective for me, of just like, yeah, sometimes hanging out is the most important thing I could be doing.
True, absolutely. And in addition to this, your other work with theater and writing,
Mhm.
Has that also somehow been connected to community work?
It has. It's not been, let me think. I mean, I certainly have participated in those things in a more volunteer capacity. A lot of times, working in the arts, volunteering is kind of, there's a lot of unpaid labor that happens in the arts, by its nature.
And you mentioned you've been mentoring and coaching and
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. A lot of those relationships that form continue for years and decades, no matter where they start. And so, it's work that's much more of a soul path than just, if it does bring, if it is a part of my career or my professional life at some point, it is also calling me into my personhood in a way that I think a lot of jobs don't, and it continues in a way that a lot of jobs I don't. um, but applying theater and theater for social change, and just the arts in general, I feel is absolutely an act of faith and service, that goes beyond just trying to sell tickets to, as we normally think of theater, of like bringing people into a ticketed event or something. The kind of theater I've gotten excited about doing in the last decade or so has been,
So you
taking the,
mentioned it's for social change.
it is
So
for, mhm.
could you briefly just mention in which way?
Sure. There are a lot of ways. Sometimes this shows up as, um, taking theater to people where they are, wherever that is, um, and working with the idea. The revolutionary Auguste Boal used to say that theater is for everyone, even actors. And so going to people and taking their input and letting it be an interactive experience that uses the tools of theater to have larger discussions. And a lot of times those discussions happen around, difficult issues, conflicts, interpersonal communication, things like that. And it's a way, a way for people to interact with each other and themselves, and a complex idea in a way that they might not normally get to do. It can be a way to rehearse for real life. But then sometimes it is also just about self-exploration, like in an acting class, so like a spiritually aligned acting class. It can just be a
With,
way to.
with regard, I mean, you just started talking about it, and I think we segued into theater. You
Mhm.
mentioned that sometimes with the hospice work,
Mhm.
things are a little bit difficult.
Sure.
What have been the challenges?
In the hospice work,
Mm-hmm.
um, a little bit difficult. I'm trying to remember how I brought that up. I mean, it's difficult in the fact that, that people are reckoning with the ends of their lives, and there's so many, some people have regrets, some people have logistical challenges, that they're dealing with. Although I say that the hospice organizations that I've known, and certainly the one that I've worked with, it really helps ease a lot of the logistics at that point. There's usually a lot of support by that time. Sometimes family members are struggling, with the major transition. Sometimes, the patient themselves, is struggling, with any number of
And
things.
for you, has it been personally challenging
Oh,
for
for
you?
me, um, I'm actually, I'm I'm surprised to say that. I mean, and granted, I haven't been doing the hospice work for that long, um, but I was surprised that it was not more challenging. Um, I think, and I owe that as a testament to getting some chaplaincy training and really doing the inner work that those programs ask you to do. Certainly there's grief involved, and there's and but
Does the grief feel very heavy sometimes for you? Do you bring it home? Does it affect family and friends?
Not for me, not in my experience. I think because I have a really wonderful support network, and I've worked, again, the hospice organization that I worked with itself was really well boundaried and supportive. And throughout my chaplaincy training, that I feel like that was also something that I really did, was I was encouraged to, I was prompted to really find my support system and find the way my own internal support system for holding my own beliefs, my own emotional work with ideas like, what is existence? What is the end of life? How do I conceptualize this? How do I hold it in my heart and my body? So that I did feel prepared to just be present when it was present, and then to let it go when it was time to let it go, and say goodbye.
So if you were advising someone getting involved with either hospice work or similar work, where they're reaching out, looks like you have a good support system and you have learned to kind of have those healthy boundaries where you can just set it aside when you need to. What advice would you give to maybe some of the CHT scholars and other people if they find it difficult to do so, and if they find that this is getting heavy for them? What would be some suggestions that you could offer so that they could kind of not let that get to them and not let that burn them out?
I can say something that's been big for me in my trajectory of growth is that I find whatever I'm working with, when it's really challenging, I'm usually feeling that in my body. And I found that my yoga training was really helpful in coming into awareness of this, and giving me tools. And then I've gathered more and more tools as I've gone along. But feeling like, where is the feeling in my body, and really learning to notice that, because sometimes it can kind of creep up on you. Like if I'm holding on to something after I've left a patient visit, or left something that I've been working on with whatever work that I'm doing, and I'm going about my day in my conscious mind and thinking I've forgotten about it, but it might be holding on in my body in a way that might surprise me later. I've had to really practice and get vigilant about noticing, like, oh, this heartache is really hurting in my chest, or I'm really tense in my jaw, or just noticing where it is, and then doing what I can to let it move, let it breathe, let it stretch, let it relax, or just be with it. Sometimes it just needs some time to be. Like I had gotten really close to some of my patients and their families, and I was sad at having to say goodbye, and I felt like I was prepared for it, and I could be with the sadness and allow myself some time to be with that. And then I ask the feeling what it needs. Do I need to sing? Do I need to dance? Do I need to talk to a friend? What will ease my heart? What will ease the tension wherever it is? So I would.
So it sounds like I hear you say that with hospice work, not only do you need to be absolutely present with the other person,
Mhm.
but you also need to be very present with yourself, with your feelings, and allow yourself to feel them, and then find a way of, after a little while, of sort of releasing them
Mhm.
through some avenue or another, so that you can sort of carry on with the rest of your activities and the rest of your life.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Exactly. Yes.
So your suggestion then is that people just need to really be with themselves, present, aware, and notice the emotions in their body, and then find what allows them to sort of work with and release some of those emotions when they get heavy.
Absolutely. I recommend having a as robust of a toolbox as you can, because sometimes something is going to work and then sometimes that thing is not going to work. And so it's nice to have some ready options for yourself.
Like you mentioned, sometimes you sing, sometimes you do
Mhm.
yoga, sometimes maybe you go for a walk, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Is there any particular event or person or situation that comes to your mind that you would like to share?
Oh, what along the lines of what?
Anything during this work with and with hospice, is there something that has really really um, meant a lot to you that you
Mm,
kind of hold close for
mhm,
one reason or another?
mm. It's all been such a gift. The people I've gotten to work with have been just, they've brought so much into my life, and I've learned so much from them. Um, I don't know why this may not be what you're looking for, but the thing that comes to mind is uh, that I was not expecting this, and I hadn't signed up to volunteer to clean people's houses, but one of the patients I was serving, that was one of the needs that they had. And so so I would go and I would sit. I was doing chaplaincy with these folks, with this lovely couple, and they also needed help around the house because it wasn't, physically possible for them. And I was so surprised. I was so surprised that it just felt like such a joy to like clean these people's toilet. I was just like, I hadn't
what
really
hum
known.
what humility and what flexibility, that's just just
It,
just a reflection of your soul. Yeah.
it was something so tangible that I could do to help. And then we would talk, and I could help them, you know, with tasks that they physically couldn't reach. And yeah, if you had told me that, 6 months before I started, I would have thought, oh, that does not sound like something I want to do. I don't want to clean my own toilet. But it was, it was such a joy. It was such a joy to do it for them at that moment in their lives. And so I encourage folks to be open to the surprises, the many surprise gifts that
Yeah,
service
and
can.
no work is too small kind of a
Mhm,
approach. And as you said, sometimes it's small and tangible things like haircut, and
mhm,
sometimes it's a deep conversation about life and death,
mhm.
and and the two meet at some place. Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. I think they're inextricable.
yeah. What is your hope, your larger vision going forward? I mean, it looks like you're sort of really liking what you're doing. It's sort of like a sole purpose. So I imagine that um, you have some ideas as to how to move forward with this and how to sort of make it even more so, more meaningful for you and the community. So what's your hope and vision?
I have a sense, I have a feeling of what I want it to feel like, but I don't have a clear vision. I've learned that, like I said, staying open to the surprises. I'm just kind of following the path as it unfolds. I know that I get so much joy when there gets to be a spirit of play and beauty in the present moment, when I get to share that with other people. And that's at the heart of almost everything that I do and that I really enjoy doing. And I think that's the meeting place of the arts and spirit for me, of like, why are we alive? What is special about being in these bodies on this earth and in this moment, and here we are face to face. And I love that connection place where we're listening to music, or we are having an artful conversation together, or we are playing a silly game or making each other laugh. I believe those are human rights, and we're so often distanced from them. And I love getting to be a part of that at any stage of life with another human being.
And the question that I might have asked was what impact you've seen on the community, but I'm going to rephrase that and ask you, has someone, or have a few different persons or one, said something to you which kind of leads you to believe what an impact it's had in their life, and in turn how you have felt that affect you?
Yeah, I frequently have people say or reflect, especially in a hospice setting, that, oh, well, he doesn't talk about that with me, or he won't talk about this, or I know he's feeling this, but he's very quiet about it. And then actually a lot of my patients have been men, and so that's why I'm using the male pronoun. And it's such a gift when people open up. I see people really open up and really share and really consider themselves and see themselves in a new light, in a way that brings some feelings of peace and gratitude, I think, to both of us. So I feel that peace and gratitude myself. And it's a beautiful thing to get to share with other people, and to feel that rippling out in a time of difficult transition. And maybe that answers the question.
Yes, it does. I mean, what I'm hearing you say is that the impact it has is that all that's been sort of kept to themselves is expressed, and in that expression there is relief and peace, which both of you experience.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for the wonderful work, not just for ACI, but for the wonderful work you're doing. And I have a feeling, if they haven't said so already, that they're probably going to tell you at some point or another that they feel that you're like an angel walking into the room.
Oh, that's so kind.
So and sort of being there, guiding them, towards those difficult times and last moments of their life. So I want to thank you from HCI as well as from myself for doing this work, and hopefully our paths will cross down the road. As I mentioned, I'm here with HCI, and maybe we'll talk again. Maybe we'll meet someday.
I would
So
love that. I would love that. And thank you for all the wonderful work you and HCI are doing. It's really, really exciting and so, so needed.
thank you. Thank you very much and have a lovely day. And
Thank you.
we'll talk again sometime.
All right, great. Have a good
Okay.
day. Bye-bye.
Bye.